Ladies, is this on? Ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Miss Alice Janice Odhiambo, and I'm a first-year graduate student from Kenya. I've been humbled and blessed by this experience that I'm getting here today to speak to all of you. I feel that because I'm the last person, I should have a ba-boom moment and tell you about running from school because there are lions chasing me, or chanting with my family so that the rain would come for crops. But unfortunately, I don't have that type of a story. But I figured because I'm here, I must have a story to tell. So this is my story. I was born September 2nd, 1988 in Women and Infants in Providence, Rhode Island, and moved to Kenya the summer of 1992. I went to school in Kenya and only came back to the US for my college career. I am the proud daughter of a chemical engineer and a world-renowned demographer. I am an only child with the biggest extended family known to man. If you know Africans, we have big families. And I'm going to be the next Oprah, but better. When I was approached by Dr. Reyes to talk at this event, I asked him, what would I talk about? I was confused. Well, I guess I shouldn't have been. Being here is diverse enough without even telling my story. When I was 12, I went to boarding school for 7 years until coming to URI. Now, believe it or not, it's actually taken me 4 years to figure out why people look at me funny when I mention I went to boarding school. From what I have been told, boarding school here in the US is very different from back home. When children here go to boarding school, it's because they're giving their parents a hard time or they're from really wealthy families. It's totally different back home. Boarding school for us is a passage of life. It's a sacrifice our parents make to give us an environment where we will learn to fend for ourselves and discover who we are. It is their way of guaranteeing that we will make it in life when they are no longer there. That we will become strong, independent people that can be put anywhere in the world and we will be just fine. And for that, I say thank you. Growing up in Kenya, I was the majority. Most of the people looked like me, talked like me, and even dressed like me. I was living the life. A life I know that a lot of minorities here would be humbled to get such an experience. I never really knew what it meant to be black until I came here. I took for granted that I never had to explain myself back home, and I could get away with a lot of things. Like I could go, if I wanted to, I could go to class in my pajamas and I wouldn't be judged. After my first day here, I knew that for the next 4 years, I would wake up every morning and be reminded that I was black and different. But I was determined that my differences would not hinder me from anything I wanted to achieve or do, and it hasn't. I had to deal with a common question: are you from Nigeria? Are you from Liberia? Are you from Ghana? And my answer to all the above was no. And when I would finally reveal that I'm Kenyan, this gets me every time, the next statement was, "Oh my gosh, do you run?" Now let's take a moment. Do I look like I could run a marathon and break a world record? No. But I do appreciate the fact that a lot of people here have actually heard of my country. 10 points to them. Just a side note, I am known on campus as Alice the Kenyan girl and not just Alice. So I guess being considered diverse is I'm a Kenyan that doesn't run. Woohoo! Going to my class and, for lack of a better word, being the token black person created a lot of pressure for me. I quickly learned that I did not want to fall into the stereotype of black people. Walking into class late, listening to music when I did walk in late, sitting at the back of the class, being on my phone, only turning up when an assignment was due or when an exam was being taken. That wasn't me. That was not how I was raised. I also knew that I was not going to endorse that behavior and give in to the peer pressure that my fellow black brother or sister would want to, would want to get the notes from class because they were too lazy to wake up or they were just not bothered to go. As my dear friend Joy says, you don't pay for my education, so I don't owe you anything. So coming to me and saying we have to look out for each other is not going to work if I'm the only one making the effort. I received a mixed impression, I received a mixed reception when I first spoke to people and they discovered I was raised in Africa. Majority of them were shocked that I could speak English and was so articulate, and most of them were shocked I could even that I even spoke proper English, and would call my professors sir or ma'am. On the other hand, my people would criticize how I spoke and would often say, "You're acting white." By talking proper and not addressing my professors with saying, "Yo, what's up, ma?" but by saying, "Good morning, ma'am," was acting white, then yes, I was acting white. If acting white was not constantly pulling the race card when things were not going in my favor, yes, I was acting white. But I was not about to apologize for who I am, how I act, and what I believe in. And no one else has to. At the end of the day, who are we to judge others? We are all humans with our flaws, and just because someone has a different skin tone than you, different sexual orientation than you, or believes in a different God than you, that doesn't justify you treating them like you are better than them. Because one day the tables can turn on you. You can move to a different country and be the oddball out. You can move to a neighborhood where the primary language isn't English, or you could even work in a company that is based in a country that is of a different religious faith than yours. You may be a majority one day and a minority the next. So take the opportunity to learn about people rather than criticize them. If it wasn't for their past experiences, they wouldn't be where they are today. And one day you may know what it feels like to walk into a room and to finish this off, I'm going to tell you a story. Summer of 2010 was the World Cup. Soccer in Africa is like football here. When Sunday comes, you're not picking up the phone when it rings because the game is on, right? Well, this is what soccer is to us. This particular day, Ghana was playing Uruguay in the semifinals. They were the only country left, and as a continent, we united and supported Ghana like they were our own, because they were. During the games, we get very invested and scream at the TV, imagining that the referees and the players can actually hear what we're saying. So halftime comes, and I call my Ghanaian friend to find out how he was doing. Ghana was 1-up at the time. I was on the phone with him, and I heard a knock on my door, so I told him to hold on, someone was at the door. I opened the door, and there was no one. I continued to talk to him, and I heard the knock again, but it was coming from the main door to the apartments downstairs. So I go downstairs, and I'm still on the phone with him, thinking that it may be someone coming to visit our neighbors, because all my friends knew the code to get in. To my shock and dismay, it was the police. I told my friend I would call him back. Oh my goodness, what has happened? The police officers then went on to ask me if I lived upstairs, and I said yes. They then asked if I was getting hurt, and I said no. They said that they had received a phone call about a screaming woman upstairs who may be getting killed. I laughed and said no, I was just watching a really intense soccer game. They asked if anyone else was up there with me that I was trying to protect, and I said no. They insisted on coming upstairs to search the entire house to make sure that I wasn't lying. They did. And when they did verify that I was alone, they told me to enjoy my game and avoid the screaming as much as I could. So I sat through the second half in complete silence, and the game ended up in penalty shootouts, and we lost. In my misery, because I couldn't shout or scream, I slept. There was nothing else I could do. Here I was passionately enjoying my soccer game in a foreign country, and someone else thought I was being killed. Talk about diversity. Thank you.
It'd be great if we could give one more round of applause to all of the speakers today.